Recently, there's been a team that's been flooding Pokemon champions with the most infuriating strategy. And in this video, I'm going to show you the 3 different ways of combating this strategy with a lot of variety, so you can pick the one that fits your team best. And at the end is an evil bonus strat, just in case the rest weren't good enough for you. Now, the 3 different ways of dealing with the team are not all equal. Some are harder to implement than others, so make sure to keep that in mind whenever you're making your choice. In order to understand the counters, first let's go over the team so we know what we're dealing with. The backbone of this strategy is Overqwil. It's a dark poison type Pokemon that gets the move Minimize, which each time they use it, raises their evasiveness by 2 stages, making it incredibly hard to hit. On top of that, it also gets the move Stockpile, which raises both of its defenses by 1, making it incredibly hard to beat. But where this team gets truly diabolical is with its 3 other core Pokemon. Starting with Meowstic, a psychic type Pokemon with the ability Prankster, which gives most non-damaging moves +1 priority to move before other regular attacks. Using this, Meowstic uses Skill Swap at +1 priority, giving its ability to Overqwil. If you can see where this is going, then you understand why it's so hard to beat. By giving it Prankster, that allows it to move next and either use Minimize to make it harder to hit, or Stockpile, which makes it harder to take out. Then on top of that, a lot of people like to run Toxic and Protect to just stall out any and everyone. But now let's get on to the other 2 core Pokemon, Sableye and Klefki. This is a Dark Ghost type, and this is a Steel Fairy type, both with the ability, you guessed it, Prankster. Once Overqwil gets set up, either of these 2 Pokemon can use Psych Up with a +1 priority. This allows either of them to copy all the stat changes to the Pokemon, making it incredibly hard to hit and incredibly bulky. So this is the main 4 core of the Pokemon team that's been infuriating so many people. But there are 3 ways that the game gives you to deal with this strategy. There are moves, critical hits, or abilities. In Pokemon Champions, as of Regulation M-B, there are a lot of moves that you can use to deal with this Minimize team. Some moves can help you deal with the opposing Pokemon's stat buffs, like Clear Smog, a 50 base power poison type move which clears all of your opponent's stats. There's also Haze, an ice type move that clears all stat buffs and debuffs on the field. Both of these moves don't check accuracy, so they can hit any Pokemon even if they raise their evasion. However, Steel type Pokemon like Klefki are immune to poison type moves, so if you're running Clear Smog, be careful to take care of Overqwil before you let Klefki use Psych Up. Defog is a flying type move that lowers your target's evasion by 2, which is a direct counter to Minimize, in case that's what you're worried about most. There's also Gravity, which is a psychic type move that grounds any flying or levitating Pokemon, and lowers everyone's evasion by 2. Gravity only lasts for 5 turns, so it's not a permanent solution, but if you only need 1 turn to deal with it, then this will help a lot. Taunt is a dark type move that will stop any Pokemon from using non-damaging attacks. However, if you're using a Pokemon with the ability Prankster, like Whimsicott, Meowstic, Sableye, or Klefki, then just know that not all status moves will affect dark types, Taunt being one of them. Both Circle Throw and Dragon Tail will force out your opponent's Pokemon, thereby taking away their stat changes. However, neither of these moves are 100% accurate, and they still check accuracy, so on top of Minimize, it will be much harder. Both Roar and Whirlwind will force out your opponent, it will bypass Substitute, and it doesn't check accuracy. There are a few damaging attacks which will always land and ignore accuracy checks. There's Aerial Ace, Aura Sphere, Blizzard, specifically in the snow, Darkest Lariat, which ignores stat changes, but will still miss if they're holding Bright Powder, Kowtow Cleave, Sacred Sword, which will ignore stat changes, but can still miss if they're holding Bright Powder, and Shadow Punch. There are also certain moves that are specifically made to counter Minimize, though not all websites will list it because it's more of a hidden effect. If your opponent has used Minimize, this list of moves will ignore the accuracy check, double in damage, and always land. Though if I'm being honest, I don't know if that works if the opponent used Psych Up. These attacks are Body Slam, Dragon Rush, Flying Press, Heat Crash, Heavy Slam, Steamroller, and Stomp. The second way that this game gives you to counter this team is with critical hits. Though critical hits don't bypass the evasion check of Minimize, they do bypass the defense check of Stockpile. On top of bypassing their defense buffs, they also ignore any attack drops that you may have, and they give you an extra 50% damage boost on top of that. Every attack has a small chance to crit. Some attacks, like Night Slash, have an increased chance to crit. There are some moves like Focus Energy, which increase your chance of getting another crit, and then there are some moves which always land critical hits, like Flower Trick, Frost Breath, and Storm Throw. The third way, and in my opinion the easiest way of dealing with this Minimize team, is with abilities. Unaware is an ability that, similar to critical hits, will ignore any stat buffs that the opponent has and will ignore any stat drops that you might have. There are only 2 Pokemon right now in Pokemon Champions that get the ability Unaware. The first Pokemon that gets Unaware is Clefable. It's a fairy-type Pokemon that is quite bulky and usually almost always used for support. But the second Pokemon, and in my opinion, the better one, is Skeledirge. It's a fire ghost-type Pokemon that gets the move Torch Song, which always raises your special attack every turn. And if you pair Skeledirge with a Pokemon like Mousehold or Sinistcha, which are really good at redirecting attacks, you can threaten to sweep their entire team, making them play by your rules instead of theirs. There's another ability which allows you to check Minimize, which is No Guard. This ability is a bit of a double-edged sword. It allows you to always land your hits no matter the accuracy, but it also allows your opponent to land their hits on you no matter the accuracy. As of this regulation, there are currently 6 Pokemon with the ability. There's Mega Pidgeot, Machamp, Regular Golurk, Lycanroc Midnight, Mega Hawlucha, and Mega Raichu Y. While this ability does deal with the evasion buffs, it does not deal with the defense buffs. But since there's a bit more variety in the Pokemon that you can choose, it might be a better solution for you. If the rest didn't sound good enough for you, here's the evil strategy that I've come up with to counter it. If you can't beat them, join them. Psych Up is a prankster move that you can use on Dark-type Pokemon, and it can't miss. So a Pokemon like Klefki, copying the stats of a Pokemon like Overqwil, would be a perfect counter. On top of that, there's another Pokemon called Espathra with the ability Opportunist. What this does is if your opponent raises their stats, Espathra takes that time to also raise that same stat. So if they want to use Minimize, you'll also use Minimize, but you can use another move on top of that. So if they want to make you suffer, you might as well have fun and make them suffer too. Editing me from the future here, there was one more strat that I completely forgot about until I thought of the idea for the thumbnail of this video, and that is a move called Topsy Turvy. This is a signature move of Malamar, which it doesn't check accuracy, and it inverts all stat changes to the targeted Pokemon, which, as you can tell from the thumbnail of the video that you clicked on, is really funny if they max out all of their stats. So yeah, I just want to hop in here and say that real quick. There is one other thing I wanted to mention, which is if you see the app that I've been using on the video so far, and you're curious what it is called Prodex. It's an app that I found on the App Store that's really good for Pokemon right now. This isn't sponsored or anything, just saying. I wanted to shout it out because it's a really good tool. The app is free, though there is a paid version. The differences are the free version has ads that pop up every now and again, and the paid version doesn't have ads, and it has access to a couple of things that are restricted in the non-paid version. One of those being specifically the Pokemon Champions Dex. It's got a list of every Pokemon that's in the game right now, and all of their moves and stats. Of course, there are always completely free resources online like Bulbapedia or Cerebi, which are really good as well, and even do talk about some things that the app doesn't have listed quite yet. But I just wanted to give this a shout out because it's a really good app, and I used it a lot, especially whenever I'm away from home, because the paid version also allows you to access it without internet. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I'll get back to the rest of the video, but I'm pretty sure it's almost over anyway, so have fun. I hope this video helped. If you got any useful info out of it, or just enjoyed it, I'd really appreciate if you'd help me by subscribing. I'd love to make a lot more Pokemon content as soon as I can, but on top of a full-time job, it makes it a little bit difficult to make them as fast or as detailed as I'd like. So any support you'd like to show, I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good day.